What is up, children of the internet? I am Taylor. Welcome back to my channel. And yeah, I'm a henchman. Um, Today is February 2nd, 2022. Some groundhog looked at a shadow or pooped on a snow pile or something. But I'm a henchman. I got this shirt courtesy of Rob's Fat Stacks of Comics. I'm going to leave a link to his channel in the Instagram in the description down below. I won this. I don't remember how. It was on one of his live videos or something. He also sent me a Tumblr, which I don't have in front of me, but he's always giving away stuff. Like always. So go follow him and you'll get free shit. What's not to like but free shit? But anyways, this is my weekly comic book review show. I review comics. I'll let you know what was good and what was bad. And I start with the worst. I go to the best. So you have to like stay through with me, people, and bear with this punishment to get to hopefully some good books. This week I did not get any Marvel books. They were all delayed at my shop, so no Marvel. Not that that's a great loss, because most of Marvel's books lately have been kind of steaming hot piles of turd. Looking at you, Marvel. But I did have a fairly decent stack without that. And speaking of weird steaming hot piles of turd, let's get into it. First we have Speed Republic by Mad Cave Studios. Yeah. This is probably some deep commentary on life or something. Probably. Possibly. I don't know. I didn't get it at all. Like, there's a giant race, that much I know, and this character's in the race, but it is also dealing with dead father, which I thought, oh, maybe that's a motivation thing. Maybe there's something else. Maybe it's a metaphor for some. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. There's like a little disjointed little jumps in this book, and there's supposedly vignettes that apparently are all happening to this main character along some like worldwide 1,000-mile race, but it just makes no goddamn sense, like at all. There's nothing in this book where there's like, I mean, there's supposed to be, I think, this cohesive thread of a race, but it's not enough to tie this together. And like, there's just a whole lot of like exposition and sort of monologuing and not monologuing, but like internal dialoguing, and none of it adds up to anything worthwhile. I am just sort of so baffled as to how this is a book, why this is a book, and why anyone would want to read it. I'm like, it is beyond me. So if you enjoyed this one, let me know in the comments down below, because I'm just kind of, it's like, all right, that exists, I guess, sorta. I don't know why. Speaking of things that yeah, all right. Never mind. I was going to have something clever and witty to say, but look, I like this cover. I'm being positive, people. I've turned over a new leaf. It's 2022. I'm supposed to be the friendlier, kinder, nicer Taylor. I like this cover. All right, next. No, okay, let's get into this. This is the origin, sort of the Monkey Prince, who's a high school character, sort of. I don't know. This is another one where, like, the storytelling is just kind of a muddy mess. The origin story is not very interesting. It's just kind of, I don't know. It reminds me of the book Reptile, whatever, by Marvel. It's got this weird tone where it's like a jump between serious and funny and like tomfoolery and like just kind of, again, jumps all over the place and doesn't make a ton of sense. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. This book badly needed an editor. And if there was an editor, the editor should be fired, because like there was just something, there's not anything here to make it worth like reading. I'm just kind of like, all right, that's a cool cover. All right, I said that. All right, that's good. That's positive. That's me being less cranky. I don't know, but this is a steaming hot pile of garbage. It's god awful, honestly. All right. Yeah, we're going to do it in this order. This is Primos by A.W. Upshot. Yeah, this is by Al Madrigal, who I guess was a comedy writer on Comedy Central, Daily Show, or whatever, and Carlo Barberi. It's setting up a new universe set in like the Mayan, with a Mayan background, which is interesting. There's like enough like nuggets of an interesting idea here. But here's what happens. All right, it starts in a fight scene, and then there's a flashback. How did we get here? Never seen that done before. It's a totally new, right? And then you sort of flashback, but the problem is the flashback's just kind of a baffling mess too. And like, there's space travel, there's time travel, and then there's, I guess, this new kid that's going to be the savior of the universe in the front. But like I mean, it's not necessarily super confusing. It's just kind of the way this story was told. You could just tell it's their kind of first comic book attempt. So I want to be gentle, but there's an interesting idea here that's just not executed very well. It's just kind of, and the art's got weirdly stiff in places, and I swear the artist copied and pasted it like one figure at least 2 or 3 times as the bad guy. It just kind of looks like plopped around, so like pulled from Nintendo games. Like, oh, here's that model. We use that character model, and we're using it again. I don't know. I could be wrong. And then there's like a reveal at the end that there's no indication of why that's not a reveal, but a plot twist at the end that like there's no explanation for. There's no way the main character would have known that's a real thing, and it's just kind of, I don't know. It's not great. It's really not. It's not as bad as the other 2 lumps of shit this week, but it's not. It's not what I'd call a good book. All right. Next we have Echolands number 6. This is gorgeous. It's probably the best illustrated book of the week, and I have no fucking clue what it's about. This story has just continued to lose me over time. I thought I had an idea where it was going. I thought it was a big chase book, which is not, the end of the world. I like a good chase. When people are being chased, and there still might be, but there's these characters all sort of drawn together, pulled together, I think, from different Echolands, I think. And I think this is the end of the first arc, because they're talking about collecting this, but there's no, like, substantial ending here. There's just kind of like, a sort of thing happens at the end of the book, but there's no setup to have any emotional weight to that at the end of this, and there's no, like, indication that, like, you're going to have something at the end that's going to be like, oh, yeah, that's a wrapping up play. That's a nice place to stop. It is gorgeous. It's a landscape book, and you read it like this. It might be a brilliant thing when it's all said and done, like when the entire damn series is done. But as of right now, this is one of those where you're like, I don't fucking know. I thought I did, and then I didn't, and now I definitely don't. And it's just kind of, the story here is just baffling, and there's nothing tying it together other than the art to make it worthwhile. It is gorgeous. I want to keep reiterating that, but J.H. Williams is doing some fantastic work on the art, and I like the landscape layout. That's it, though. The story's just nothing, and like, I'm done. I pulled this off my pull list. I unpulled it, and if it ever gets collected, I mean, they're coming out with a deluxe hardcover of the first 6 issues. I will not be getting that. If it ever comes out in an Omni when it's all said and done, or if the story ever ends, if there ever is a point to this all, then maybe I'll read it from start to finish and critique it. But as of right now, I can't do this anymore. It's too much damn money, and it's just not enough there for me. So. All right, next. We have Justice League Incarnate. In the beginning, there was the crisis on Infinite Earths, and then there was a crisis on Multiple Earths, and then there was the infinite crisis on Infinite Death Planets, and then there was the Batman Who Laughs, and then there was the Multiverse of Man. I don't fucking know. Again, this is... The multiverse is dying, and it's all your fault. This is Josh Williamson's explainy issue. Explaining why the characters are supposed to do certain things, and then why this is all... Most of this book is just an exposition dump. And it's told like from the omnipotent narrator point of view. It's like, oh, yes, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. And it's just gobbledygook. It doesn't make a ton of sense. It's just... It's okay. Like, this is supposed to be Josh's Williamson's big lead up to, like, the next crisis event. And if this is it, I just don't care. I tried to care. I know other people like it. I know other people are enjoying this. But there's the fact that they have just different artists on different parts of this. It's just very disjointing to me, too. And, like, the story is just kind of... it's a big shrug. And there's a curse for your sudden but inevitable betrayal moment in here. By a bad guy. That everyone should have seen coming. I mean, the ending, actually, this was all right, because there was comeuppance. There was a comeuppance, people, but otherwise. All right, and then we have Magic Order 2, number 4, issue 4 of 6. This lost me on this one, too. This is again, I've never read the first arc, but up until then, this book is actually this book is pretty entertaining, and I probably will still finish it. I'll probably wait and see where it goes and see how this all wraps up. But this issue is just kind of like, I don't know. There's this this main character has a dependency on drugs, and that just turned into a thing, and somebody gets hurt, and this issue is sort of dealing with that, but it's just the way it gets dealt with is very bizarre to me. And then the characters that end up doing stuff. I think it's just the issue where Miller's just trying to be badass and cool instead of telling a story. Just tell a story, and then throw in a little bit of badass and cool. But like, it's just the balance is off on this one. It's the lull I'm hoping in here, and I hope it'll get better. All right. You know how writers basically write everything about themselves, right? And it's all masturbatory. Crossover! This is the Donny Cates issue. This is the great reveal, where Donny Cates reveals he has a master plan to write about Donny Cates. It's not bad. This is the best work Donny Cates is doing right now. But I've not been loving a lot of his stuff lately. Honestly, like Thor's kind of like the second best, and then everything else has just been a lump of shit. This is decent. It's trying too hard to be meta. It really is. Your enjoyment on this is probably going to rely on whether or not you know the other characters that he's throwing in here. Like, if you understand that some of these are from Michael Bendis' Powers universe and that kind of stuff, you'll have a better enjoyment of this book. If not, there's not enough here to probably sink your teeth into to like really care, because he's playing around with other characters' creations and stuff, and he's telling a story about himself writing into a story. It's very Stephen King-ish, that douchey part of like the Dark Tower, where Stephen King wrote himself in the Dark Tower, and you're like, well, this is fucking stupid. That's kind of about where we're at right here. I think this is supposed to be his grand magnum opus, but if this ends like the Dark Tower, where it all just starts over again, I'm gonna throw this book against the goddamn wall. All right. All right, next we're into some good shit, actually. We got Batman, number 120. This is my favorite issue of Batman in a long time. It is not perfect, but this is Batman after he's been blinded, spoilers, and dealing with that. And then there's the Batman Inc. or Bat Inc. Bat people, Bat Inks, I don't know, whatever. And the Abyss is chasing after him. Very solidly drawn by Molina. I like the art a lot, except for the ending on here. There was a couple pages, like at the very end, we're like, well, that's a confusing. How the hell? Why was that story beat like that? Other than that, solid issue of Batman. I don't have a ton of complaints about this one. I kind of dug it. It's also Josh Williamson. This is the most fun I've had on his books, on his Batman books since he took over. I don't know if he's a permanent writer on this. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. But yeah, this is a solid Batman issue. It's decent. It is fine, even. All right, we're getting there. This might be a kind of quick video. Like I said, there's no Marvel books, but all right. This is the Scumbag, and the Scumbag number 12. This is 12 issues this already. Wow. All right, the Scumbag's one of those where like every month I'm like, I should just drop this. This is stupid. But then I read it every month, and I'm like, well, it's stupid, but it's fun. And this is stupid, but it's fun. And this is the Scumbag in the 50s. Realizing that the 50s weren't, while they were cracked up to be, Remender's just having a lot of fun, and there's different artists in every issue. This one plays with a lot of stuff. There's like some very heavy references to Happy Days in here, as well as Full Metal Jacket and a few other things. It's a fun, stupid book. It's not going to change anything. It does have some like kind of heavy-handed commentary on society and stuff, which I'm okay with. I mean, society sometimes needs a good smack in the face by a scumbag who's got superpowers and just wants to get high and get laid. And that's what this is, and I'll keep reading it until next issue, where I'm like, well, maybe I should drop this. But thus far, it keeps pulling me back in. All right, Nocterra number 7. This is the start of the second arc. The first arc was solid by Scott Snyder, Tony Daniel. It's a world where the lights went out in Georgia and everywhere else, and they're monsters in the dark. And if you're in the dark, you turn into a monster. And so you have to have the lights on. It's an interesting enough, basic enough idea. And this is the people in this world trying to solve it and try to correct it. That's the story. There's other bits to it. There's stuff. There's bad guys. There's good guys. It's a fun universe. It's a fun enough romp. It's not going to change the world. I think it's been optioned. Every damn thing's been optioned. But this is, if you're looking for just a solid, fun, entertaining, set in a like post-apocalyptic kind of world with a little bit of a fresh take on it. Yeah, Nocterra. It's been good all the way throughout, and this is another good issue. Not fantastic, but good. All right. Okay, next we have the New Masters number 1. This is Afrofuturism. Set in a world where aliens have invaded and like the society has mostly been crumbled, and Africa is kind of what remains, is my understanding of this. This is a lot of fun. It's a solid start. The reason it's not the number 1 book on my list is it's a little disjointed. There's a couple elements here that are like have not tied together to make a story yet. And the very first part of this felt a whole lot like the opening of Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Not to spoil either of those, but whatever. And then it just took a change from there, like a 90, not a 90 degree, but like a 44 degree shift from there. Everyone's after this stuff called, I think it's obtainium. I can't remember which is a nice MacGuffin for things people want to obtain. And there's the idea of changing the world and aliens and Earth is doomed. It's got a lot of fun elements in here. It's got a lot of like potential. This might move up with the following issues. I'm going to keep up with this one. It is a unique take on the future, and it's something different that's out there from everything else on the shelves. So I'd say hunt this one down. It just didn't quite make the top of my list this week. It's not bad, but it just wasn't quite the peak of this week for me. All right, next we have the One Star Squadron, issue number 3 of 6. This is Mark Russell. He does, and Lieber and Stewart on the colors, and Red Tornado. This is the world of heroes for hire, like fame and society and making a living in corporate America, all chucked into one thing with DC Universe and a very condescending Superman. And then in this issue, and there's a corporate. It's just about the doldrums of corporate life and the expectations of corporate life, and how like if you really try, you'll advance to the top. That's not at all the message here. It's just it's a satirical take on corporate America meets weird DEF list DC superheroes, including the Red Tornado, who I dig. And I've heard that Mark Russell also wrote Flintstones miniseries that I actually kind of want to check out now, because I've liked what I've read from him so far, which is not a ton. He wrote Not All Robots, something else I'm forgetting, and this. And so like I like this. I like the art on this quite a bit too. Lieber's art is like clean and minimal and solid. It reminds me a bit of Mike Allred, but without the sort of heavy Allred inks. So, not going to change the world. Probably can wait for a collection on this one. It's like there's not a whole lot of reason to spec on any of this. But if you're looking for a fun satirical take on superhero corporate life, One Star Squadron. Next, we have... Yeah, I'm going to do it in this order. Okay, 2 left. We have New Burn number 3 by Chuck Zdarsky. Now, it's Chip Zdarsky and Jacob Phillips. I'm loving New Burn. This is like... Newburn's a fixer for the mob, right? And he works not just one mob, he works for all the mobs. And so he's like the neutral middle ground and helps solve problems when all of the gangs and all of the like crime bosses have issues. They go to Newburn for help. Dun, dun, dun. I dig this cover too. I like this minimalist. And Jacob Phillips' art on this is solid. Reminds me a lot of his dad, Sean Phillips, with his own little spin on it, but still pretty reminiscent of his dad's stuff. And what I've liked about this series is like there is an overarching thing like I just talked about, but like every issue has had a contained story thus far, which is kind of nice. Like you can pick up this issue in Newburn and pretty much get it without reading the rest, which is kind of a rarity in today's comic book world, folks. And yeah, there's a idea that like Newburn's back against the wall because he's not producing. So because things are happening to everyone around him and all the mobs around him are in a stink because there's murders, lots of murders, and so not necessarily the most clever ending of it all, but it's for a 22-page comic book, it is a solid story and it's fun and I'm digging it. And yeah, Newburn, get burned anew. All right, and then the book I had the most fun with this week, and the book I liked the most was the 80-page Geiger Giant. Geiger set in a post-apocalyptic America, like every damn indie book is nowadays. This is Jeff Johns, who I know some people don't love, and Gary Frank on the main heavy lifting, and then a lot of like other people in here doing other stuff. It is it's a throwback to like the old 80-page Giants of DC and Marvel, where there's a lot of like smaller stories in here. There's a framing device that ties a few of them together. But yeah, this is set in the Geiger universe. If you've not read Geiger, I suggest you start here. You'll get some of it, but you don't get all of it. Geiger's this character that has radioactive powers set in this atomic wasteland, and then there's Vegas has survived of sorts, and it's centered around the Vegas area. And this is like a universe or world building part of that, because the first bunch of issues centered entirely on Geiger, and then this is like expanding the universe. Geiger's not actually really in here very much, But there are other characters that are going to get their own spin-off series that are introduced in here, and there are other elements, and like you learn that like there are different themed casinos and stuff, which is kind of fun. So it's sort of like Vegas, but with horrible twists on it, like Roman gladiators or pirate ships or the castle. All these like casino archetypes are twisted around and put about in here, and then you learn that Geiger's not the only super powered person in this universe, and you'll also learn the origin of his cute little two-headed dog. So I dug it. Honestly, it was like, or I wasn't expected to. I thought, oh, I'm like, all right, well, 80 pagers. I don't tend to love super short stories in these things, at least when Marvel does it, but. The writers that were chosen and the stories that were chosen in here were all pretty solid. There was like maybe one weak link story in here I didn't dig, but the rest of them, like they pulled it off, and I'm down and I'm aboard for the expanding Geiger universe, and I'm looking forward to getting some of these spin-off titles. So there you have it, folks. That was my review this week. I will review the Marvel stuff next week, so yeah, that is what it is, because Penguin Random House or whatever the hell had issues getting the books to the LCS, and I could have gone to a different LCS, but I got lazy. I'm lazy, and I had 14 books already. I'm like, that's enough. That's enough. The rest can wait till next week. So, once again, I'm a henchman. Go follow Rob Fat Stacks. Win some free shit off him. I'm gonna get out of here. And don't be a dick, even if Penguin messes up your Marvel stuff. See ya.